Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and last week, or should I say earlier this week, I finished my 100 book challenge to read what you own before you buy another book. And that is done. So I'm now able to buy a few books, and I have bought a few Kindle books and a few cheap paperbacks at thrift stores. But now I'm going to continue with this vlog style of wrap-ups because I like it this way. Instead of trying to do all the books that I read in 1 week in one sitting, just do them as I read them, and maybe intersperse my videos with some entertaining other videos of cats or vacations or whatever. So this is the beginning of the rest of the year until the next Read What You Own challenge. I have just started listening to a new audiobook, The Big Book of Adventure Stories, edited by Otto Hensler. In its printed format, it is about 900 pages long. In the audio format, it is 58 hours long. And this is just a collection of adventure short stories and adventure short novels. It covers a lot of different types of adventure genres, including sword and sorcery, sea tales, desert tales, that sort of thing. And the first story I read was The Golden Snare by Farnham Bishop. It is set sometime in our historical past, maybe. It is listed under the category of sword and sorcery. There were definitely swords, a little short on the sorcery. But it is the story of a beautiful young princess in a galley ship somewhere on the sea. She is buck naked when the story starts, surrounded by her beautiful entourage of other beautiful buck naked female slaves. And the ship is attacked and sunk. She is thrown into the sea. And she is swimming towards one of the other ships that she thinks is an ally. However, she overhears two men talking about how they want to capture this beautiful young princess for themselves. So she has to swim to an island. And again, she's buck naked, and she has to capture and kill one of these armed and armored men to defend herself and take over these ships and save herself. This is not great literature by a long shot, but it is a lot of fun. I'm not going to be reading this book straight through. I'm going to be listening to a short story or two in between my other audiobooks. So finishing this book is realistically going to take a couple of months, maybe even more than a couple of months. But I should enjoy it a lot. I have finished listening to the audiobook of Great World Religions, Judaism by Isaiah M. Gafni. This is a series of lectures published by The Great Courses. And this is a very high level view of Judaism. As the professor says in his first lecture in this book, is that you cannot cover the entirety of Judaism in 12 half-hour lectures. By its very nature, as I said, high-level overview of the entire religion. And the main question this professor asks in the beginning is Judaism a people or a religion? Because in reality, it's both. Judaism is a people and Judaism is a religion. People not born into Judaism can convert. All the Jews are really not out to convert people as Christians and Muslims are. Or you can be born into the Jewish people and not be part of the religion. That's sort of my case. My father was born a Jew. in Paris, France in 1923. And he got out of, I won't say get out of Dodge, he got out of Paris in 1940, very fortunately. But I don't consider myself a member of the Jewish religion. I'm really not considered a part of the Jewish people because my mother was not Jewish. But this book overall, no, so this book is overall really excellent, and the quality of the great courses, and again, is overall really good. And you can pick up a lot about the flavor of Judaism. My favorite little tidbit is that the Jews consider themselves people of the book, or books. Jews have always loved books. A lot of the time it's religious books, but that's okay. As a people and people following a faith, they love books. So, I gotta love that part of the Judaism religion and people. And I'll leave it there and allow you to explore this religion if you so choose. This was listened to as a part of a project that's ongoing for me to listen to all the great courses on Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And then afterwards, read some religious texts. So my next job is to read the 5 books of Moses. That's going to take me a little while. It's usually about 140 pages in a Bible, and you get small print and dense text, so it's going to take me a while. And then I'm going to be reading some fiction on the Jewish people and religion. And I got a couple ideas. I'm going to read some short stories by Isaac B.F. Singer. I'm probably not going to use this paperback edition. I have a Kindle version, which is a much more complete edition of his short stories. I want to read Fateless by Emir Karatzes. He's Hungarian. He was a Jew, and he was sent to Auschwitz. So this is sort of a semi-memoir, semi-novel along the lines of Night by Evi Lazal and If This Be a Man by Primo Levi. I would really also like to get a chance to read this book, Call It Sleep by Henry Roth. This is a fabulous early modernist novel about the Jewish immigrant experience in New York City, early 30s. And I read it before. It's a really fabulous book, and I want to get back to it someday. So maybe I will read that as part of my project. The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray, originally published 2021. This is an historical novel about Belle DaCosta Green. She was the personal librarian for J.P. Morgan, the early 20th century financial magnate and very rich man. And he was rich enough to own a personal library, hire a personal librarian, and start collecting some fabulous works of printed books and Renaissance art. And apparently, Belle was quite a good librarian. She became very skilled at auctions and getting the books that J.P. Morgan wanted. And she never married, but she had a few affairs. The big thing is that everyone thought she was a white woman, but she was a colored woman. She was originally born Belle Marion Greener to a colored family her father was one of the first colored graduates of Harvard University and taught at a university in South Carolina after the Civil War and Restoration, until South Carolina sort of started cracking down on those, non-whites teaching at colleges. And that forced Belle and her mother to pass as white, because apparently the whole family was very light-skinned and they could pass for whites. So Belle had her entire career in public life as a white woman, and she had to keep her heritage secret. Now, as a book, I found this a bit of a slog. There are long pieces that it just goes on and on. It was about 335 pages long. I thought this book could have well been 200 pages long. Some of the passages condensed down, and the writing style just did not appeal to me. The woman herself sounds like a fascinating historical character. The thing about the book I didn't like is it focused more on the character of Belle. There wasn't enough about the books and the art. I like the books and the art more than her character, but this was read for my in-person book group. We will be meeting at the end of this month. I'm sort of curious to see what other people think about this book, including my wife, who's part of this book group. No, you're not the one. I have finished The Outsider by Stephen King. This is the fourth book featuring the character Holly Gibney, which I am reading as a project. This project will be shown live on Wednesday night with some of my other co-hosts who are reading this along with me. And if everything goes well, it'll be, like I said, the Wednesday after this video goes up. Well, anyway, this story starts off in Iowa, where a young boy has been brutally murdered, and there are lots of eyewitnesses that point out one of the notable townspeople, Terry Maitland, as the most likely murderer. People have seen him. There are fingerprints at the crime of the scene. There is DNA at the crime of the scene. This is a slam dunk case. And the police officers, Ralph and some others, arrest him when he's coaching a little league game because they want to show that they're catching the bad guy in a big way. Unfortunately, Terry has a rock-solid alibi for the time that boy was murdered. So how can a man be in two places at once? Interesting crime setup. Now, the big issue with this is that this is not only a crime novel, this is a typical Stephen King horror novel. The previous three books with Holly, the first two were relatively normal crime books. The third book featured a supernatural element. And this one, the supernatural element gets another heavy hand. Also, Holly does not appear until about page 300. So you get this good crime setup. As for ranks with the other Holly books, I think I ranked this number 2. I still think the Mr. Mercedes is my favorite. And then Outsider may be tied with Finders Keepers, and then dragging along at the end is End of the Watch. It's still a good book. I'm not sure how well it would work as an independent book. The first 300 pages without Holly is fine. It's just a normal novel. But once Holly starts being introduced into the story, they give little bits and pieces of her backstory. And would those pieces be sufficient for a reader who has not read the Mr. Mercedes trilogies? I don't know. I think it might be a little lacking there, but still, at 560 pages, this book is long enough, but it's still pretty good. I have finished the audio story of The Devil in Iron by Robert E. Howard. This again comes from the Big Book of Adventure Stories. This is a sword and sorcery story written in the 30s. It's about Conan the Barbarian. And really, that's all you need to know. Conan the Barbarian has to fight some monsters and protect a beautiful woman who is scantily dressed, if I remember correctly. It's pretty good. And If you notice carefully, you will notice there's a gap in this video where I have not talked about other audiobooks that I've been listening to. And that's because the other audiobook I've been listening to before I got into The Devil and Iron was for the BookTube Prize, and I can't talk about it yet. That's why it's not been mentioned. Well, anyway, I'm going to call that a wrap for the week. And I no longer have my 100 book challenge, but I'm going to continue with this vlog style of reviewing because, I kind of like it. Thank you so much for watching, and keep on reading.